I remember standing in the middle of the ballet studio, literally holding back the tears, surrounded by all the other female dancers of the company, and the ballet mistress telling me that she was embarrassed that I had been her student at school simply because I was doing a movement, a renversé to be specific, a little bit differently than we did it according to the Vaganova method. I wish I could tell you guys that instances like these in the ballet world are rare, but unfortunately they're not. Ballet is a wonderful form of art. It is truly exceptional, it's beautiful, it's so fulfilling. However, there is a dark side to ballet that doesn't get spoken about quite enough. I want to use my platform and my voice as somebody who graduated from a professional ballet school, who then danced in a professional ballet company for 12 years, and who now has been teaching ballet to all levels for a little over a year and a half. I want to use my voice to talk about these issues. We're going to be talking about the general toxic environments that can be present at ballet schools and at ballet companies, ballet studios. We're going to talk about body shaming, and we're going to talk about what I call the silent culture. Why are people so afraid to speak up? I encourage you to be patient, to be kind, and to be understanding in the comment section. I'm not probably going to be able to answer all of your questions. There are no easy answers. There are no black and white answers. This is a very complicated subject. I will try my very best, and without further ado, let's dive into this serious video. So let's start with the first big topic, which is aggressive and emotionally abusive teachers. This can happen at all levels, just in regular ballet studios, with children, with adults, in professional ballet schools, and continue onwards in a professional company environment. The bullying can show itself in different forms. Sometimes it can be blatantly obvious. So you can have a teacher that is screaming at a student or at a dancer in the middle of the studio while all the other dancers or students are around, making a big scene out of it, mocking them in front of the other students, kicking them out of the classroom. Or it can be more subtle. So it can be things like small sarcastic comments or just ice cold behavior towards a student, so completely ignoring them. So it can come in various shapes or forms. So in professional schools and in professional companies, it can present itself more harshly because it is a professional environment. So the excuse is always that, you know, we need to toughen up our students because the profession is going to be tough, and they need to have this tough shell around them, and they need to be able to take the criticism. And the only way that this is going to happen is if they literally have a teacher that is yelling at them and abusing them. That's the only way that they're going to toughen up. With adults in adult ballet studios, it probably has different reasonings. Maybe there's just a teacher that doesn't perhaps really want to do the job that they're doing, but they're actually not super passionate about teaching, and they don't have enough patience for the teacher job, which is incredibly difficult, by the way. And they just get annoyed by the small things, such as like seeing an adult ballet student not having the ideal body shape. Like I said, maybe they don't have enough patience, and they don't understand how this adult ballet student can't pick up a specific step immediately. Why does it take time? And they just get annoyed by that. So why do a lot of ballet teachers behave in this way? I think in most cases, the answer to that is they got the same treatment from their teachers. They then got accustomed to that. They drifted through their career having the same mindset that this is just how ballet is. I don't even know any other way. Any other way is not efficient or effective enough to toughen up a student, so I'm going to replicate the same kind of behavior. From my own personal experiences, I've had so many teachers say things like, you know, when I was younger, I got excessively yelled at and we got beaten with a cane, so now it's better because we don't beat you with a cane anymore. Or when I was younger, you know, sometimes the teacher would kick a student out and would not allow them to come back for several days, but now it's better because when I kick you out, I would only kick you out for 10 minutes and then I allow you to come back in. You know, when I was younger, we had these horrible working conditions, so you guys shouldn't complain about anything that you have because it's much better than what I had back in the day, etc., etc. So I think the key here is, when it comes to teachers, is that you need to be able to shift your mindset and your priorities from being, I'm going to use the word self-centered, in the sense that you're thinking about, okay, I went through this, I had XYZ happen to me, and now I'm going to make XYZ happen to my students. You need to shift the mindset away from being self-centered and realize that it's not about you anymore. Now, as a teacher, it's about your students. It's about your students, and it's about how you can make your students' experiences as fulfilling, as positive, and as successful as you possibly can. So what can you do if you're at a ballet studio, at a professional ballet school, at a company, and you have a teacher that is bullying you and making you feel like you're worth nothing? Like I said in the beginning, there are no easy answers to this question. And the first thing that I'm going to tell you is probably something that you don't really want to hear, and something that is definitely not easy to do. And that is to switch your environment. It would be wrong of me to sit here and try to come up with ways that you can manage sticking at it in that terrible environment, instead of telling you the truth, if you have the possibility to change the environment. Mind you, if you have the possibility to do so. If I had a friend that was in a terrible toxic relationship, and instead of telling her the truth, I would be like, let's try to come up with ways how you could stay in this relationship and navigate this relationship, even though it's completely destroying your mental health. It would be really wrong of me to try to do that. So I understand how difficult it can be to change environment. I understand also that in some cases it's not possible. We'll get to that in a little bit. But if it is, then it may be the thing that you need to do. Because remember, even if in the moment where you're feeling so terrible because of this teacher or maybe even multiple teachers, and you feel like you are the problem, and you feel like, okay, even if I leave, the problem is going to follow along because I'm the problem, and everybody else in a different environment would also see me as a problem. You are probably not the problem. The teacher or the teachers are probably the problem if they're making you feel this way. And I want you to remember that there are so many good schools and studios out there with excellent teachers. And you may have a completely different experience. Like I said, I understand how difficult leaving may be. You know, you've built your group of friends, you have strong roots in that environment. But if it's really so toxic that, you know, you're almost having a panic attack every single day before you go to class, when you come back from class, you feel like crying, your self-confidence have been like stomped to the ground, and you almost feel like you don't love ballet anymore, but you hate it, then that is not your fault and you deserve a better environment. However, I do understand that there are a lot of cases where switching environments simply isn't an option whatsoever. Maybe in your area, the studio or the school that you're going to is the only studio or the school, and you love ballet so much, you want to keep going, you don't want to leave, you don't want to stop. I understand all of that. When it comes to those situations, I can try to provide you with some little tips on how to navigate that toxic environment and those teachers. So the first thing that you need to try to understand is what I briefly mentioned before. You are probably not the problem. The teacher is the problem. So we need to try and make you shift the blame away from yourself and try to understand that there is a reason as to why this teacher or the multiple teachers, are behaving this way towards you and towards maybe other students as well. And it is most likely to do with the fact, as per usual, that they had the exact same treatment from their teachers in the past, and they just haven't learned and they don't know any better. That is not an excuse for the teachers to behave in that way and not change their methods. That is not an excuse for you to throw your hands up in the air and say, okay, it's fine. Suffering for me is fine. That's just how it is. Like we said before, that's just how ballet is. No, that's not how ballet is. That kind of treatment and the excessive bullying is full-on harassment, and nobody deserves that. But maybe what would help you in the case where you don't have any option to change the environment, to change your teacher, is to try to shift that blame away from yourself and understand that this is fully the teacher's problem. This is a complicated process, however, to shift your brain in that way, and it's going to take a long time. The other thing that you can try to do is find support from the outside, whether that be other students in your class, maybe other students in a different class, maybe another teacher that you get along really well with. Maybe it can be support from online communities. There are so many wonderful online communities out there right now that have this method of positively reinforcing their students. This open platform where you can have honest conversations without fearing the consequences, without fearing that you're going to get judged by the other members of the community. There are so many of those out there. So maybe what you would benefit from is trying to find one of those and realizing that, okay, I'm just going to have to navigate in this two-level ballet world. I'm going to have my negative experiences in my local ballet school, studio, whatever, and then I'm going to have my positive experiences and the positive reinforcement from the online space. The next big topic is body shaming. Body shaming wounds are very deep wounds that I think most dancers carry, because there is still this ideal ballerina body type that teachers want their students to try to replicate, that ballet staff, ballet masters want their dancers to try to replicate. Got your long neck, your skinny arms. God forbid you see too much muscle, yeah? Skinny legs, tiny little waistline, no booty, no chest, basically looking like a child. And that is those people's ideal ballerina body shape. And then either, again, in a subtle manner or in an aggressive and forceful manner, they try to make their students or their dancers look the same way. In a subtle manner, it can be comments like, "You're looking a little bit bloated today. I'm seeing too much muscle on your arms, on your legs. When you're in a tutu, the booty sticking out too much. I see too much of your chest," whatever that may mean. So they can be subtle comments like that. Sometimes no words are even necessary. Like in my school, we had teachers that used to come up to us obviously we're in leotards and tights, no skirt. And they would just touch your side like this, not say anything and be like, and then walk away. Or it can be, again, blatantly obvious comments like, you're fat, you can never become a professional because of your body type, you need to not eat. So the comments can vary, but for most of us, the results are the same, whether they be the subtle comments or whether they be the blatantly obvious comments. So if those comments happen, what is going to be the next chain in the events chain? The students or the dancers then become hyper fixated on the issue with their body. They then start constantly comparing themselves to other dancers or students in the room. They then start seeing the mirror as an enemy rather than a friend, because the mirrors at the end of the day in the ballet studio technically are there as our friend. Because sometimes, as you know, we may think that we feel something, but then we see the actual image and I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't feeling what I was supposed to be feeling and now I see it. So the mirror is supposed to be your friend, not your enemy. When you get hyper fixated on your body image, without a doubt, the mirror is going to be the enemy. I know this from my own experience because up until this day, if I look at myself in the mirror, the image that I see is not the image that is real. It's not what other people see. And this is from my school years. So from my own experience, the body shaming had various forms. It had the subtle forms, had the subtle touching. It then got more excessive to the point where to 14, 15-year-old kids, you would say that, you know, if you want to lose weight, you don't really need to eat breakfast. Quote, the only thing that you need to have in the morning is a little cube of sugar. And then you get your little sugar rush and you're ready to go to class. Then some people actually take very excessive actions. As you probably know, binge eating and then throwing up, or maybe not even binge eating, just eating a little bit and then throwing up, is something that is very common and very, very prominent still to this day. It was at my school as well. At first, it wasn't something that I was doing. What I would just do is that if I would get any comments about my body, I simply wouldn't eat for like 3 to 4 days. I would drink things like iced tea, Coca-Cola, and I would eat some little fruits, maybe some tomato, some cucumber. That's it. I wouldn't have anything else. Don't ask me how I had the energy to do anything. I have absolutely no idea. And then, of course, if one of the students or one of the dancers manages to lose weight in a very short period of time, please come in front of the classroom. Everybody look, Christina has managed to lose so much weight in 3 days. That means all the rest of you can do the same thing. The teacher goes away. Everyone comes, Christina, how did you do it? It's like, well, I didn't really eat. Oh, okay. Next time I'm going to try to do the same thing then. Towards the end of my school years, I actually, 1 year, I did gain quite a lot of weight. I gained about 10 kilos. And then my teacher put me on this miracle diet. And this miracle diet, I'm going to tell you, consisted of 1 slice of cheese in the morning with a black coffee. In the afternoon, you would have a fruit salad, but the fruit salad could only really be an orange, apple, and some kind of berry. So strawberries, raspberry, blueberry, something like that. No dressing, no nothing, obviously just the fruit. And then a little piece of fish, meat, something, no dressing, and which is some cabbage and carrot on the side, no dressing. And then in the evening, you would have another fruit salad, and you would drink something that we drink a lot in Estonia, which is called kefir. So it's like fermented milk, basically. Kind of tastes like natural yogurt. That was it. I can't exactly remember how long I was on this diet. I think it was around 4 to 5 weeks. And I lost all the weight. I lost all the 10 kilos. And then my teacher was very happy. At the time, I was very happy. Goal achieved. But then, when I started consuming actual normal food again, even in small portions, I would feel sick. And I would feel sick to the point where I would, not intentionally, but I would throw up. And then all of a sudden, I had a little click in my brain. It's like, oh, so I can eat this whole bar of chocolate and I get the flavor of the chocolate, but I don't have to keep it in my stomach because I can just throw it up. I know this is a very difficult subject, yeah, but I feel like I want to share my experience. So I got into that trap for a little while, not for too long, thankfully, in my case. There's been other cases that went on for way too long, you know, girls stopped having their periods. Girls simply were just not able to eat anything normally anymore without throwing up, or being in that mindset that I'm just not allowed to eat at all without throwing up. So thankfully for me, it only lasted, I want to say, for about half a year, and then I stopped. And I managed to stop, and I never did it again after that. So the body image issues for me, very real. From company times, not so much. Little, maybe sometimes little comments here and there. The not so obvious ones like, oh, you're looking a little bit bloated lately. But they didn't really make me take any drastic action. Like my eating habits were not great in the company because I would just be consuming quick snacks because lunch break really short, don't want to have a proper meal because you're going to feel bloated afterwards, and then somebody's going to have to partner you and you just feel big, you know, in your tiny little leotard. So it was just like quick snacks, and then in the evenings I would eat properly. So I didn't stop myself from eating. The food that I was consuming wasn't good and wasn't nutritious, but I didn't stop myself from eating. So what do you do if you find yourself in an environment where you've tried to speak to the staff about the clear body image issues and the abuse, but the answer that you seem to be getting over and over again is that, I'm sorry, that's the only thing we accept. That is just what a ballerina body should look like. Other people have tried to have the same conversations, but it never leads anywhere. Then I want you to understand that that environment is not for you. That environment is not for anyone. They don't deserve to have you there. You need to realize the utmost importance of your body being healthy, being nourished, being looked after, being resilient, being strong. It is your instrument. It is your only instrument. You only get one. And trust me, it is oh so easy to slip away from that understanding just because of those loud outside noises. It is sometimes nearly impossible to try to block them out. So it may be the case for you that you again need to find another healthier environment. If they really are so narrow-minded and so old-fashioned in what they think that is the ideal ballerina body, if they completely disregard the potential health issues, the potential injury risks, all of that, then like I said, they simply don't deserve you. And actually, they don't deserve any of their students, because that is not how things should work in 2025. You as a dancer are an athlete. You're an artist, but you're also an athlete. Your training is high-level athletic training. Your body needs to be looked after extremely carefully, and you need to love your body. Remember, like I said before, that your body is your most precious possession. You only get one. It should never be just about looks. And if it is for the institution that you're in, then get yourself out of there before things go terribly wrong. The last important topic is the fear of speaking up, aka the silent culture in ballet. This starts from a young age, because if you're in a ballet school or in a ballet studio, you are trained basically to just listen and to nod along. You're not encouraged really to ask questions or to be curious. And students are often afraid to do so because they're afraid of being labeled as difficult, being labeled as the one that asks too many questions. It could also go deeper than that, to things like students being scared that they're not going to get good roles within their school performances, that they're not going to get good and sufficient enough help when it comes to them trying to audition for ballet companies. Being in that culture and in that mindset from a young age obviously transfers over into the professional life in a ballet company. But there, the reasons as to why one wouldn't speak up can be a little bit different. So they could start from things like, I'm afraid to speak up because I might lose my contract. You know, I've been told that there are many dancers waiting in a line to get into the company. They would do everything that the staff tells them to do without questioning anything. And if I'm the one that questions, then I could be easily replaced with a finger click by one of those dancers. Or I'm scared to speak up because I might not get any roles. I may not even be on the casting sheet. So the silent culture, both within the schools and then transferring over to a professional setting in a company, is very real. So what can we do about this? You alone voicing your opinion may be scary, and I understand why it is. Don't underestimate the importance and the powers of, for example, a group of students or a group of dancers coming together and voicing their opinion. You alone, indeed, may not be sufficient enough to bring about a change, but a group of people most definitely can. So if you feel like there is toxicity happening in regards to a specific topic, in regards to multiple topics, speak to your fellow students, speak to your fellow dancers that you trust, and you will often find that a lot of them feel exactly the same way. And if they do, then now it is something that you can bring to the management either of the school along with parents, because obviously in a school you're still children, or in a company environment just as a group of people. Bring that to the management and discuss the issue, because a group of people can be very, very powerful. And also remember that when you go in as an individual or as a group of people voicing your concern, that it can start small and it doesn't need to be aggressive. Because oftentimes, if you're obviously emotionally charged because something bothersome is happening either to the individual or to the group, and you want to go in with this like emotional response, that may not be the best way to approach this. Because if you go in with an emotional response, then most likely the management will see that as a direct attack against them and will probably respond to you in a similar manner. However, if you address the issue calmly and simply ask questions and try to get answers from the management, then that may be a better way to go about it. Ballet itself isn't the enemy. It's the way that it's sometimes taught that can be toxic. But change is happening slowly, and it's happening with conversations like this. On a personal level, each one of us can start by setting our own boundaries. So for example, refusing to internalize harmful words and recognizing that there are boundaries that shouldn't be overstepped. You can also find those supportive outside communities, maybe another teacher, maybe other students who feel the same way that you do, maybe even someone or a group of people completely outside of your studio, your company, your ballet school, an online community where you can get that support that you need. Collectively, we can change the ballet culture by refusing to normalize toxic behaviors. Ballet studios, ballet schools, companies, online teachers, online communities, we all should have a common goal to shift away from those toxic mindsets and to provide our students with environments where they can thrive, where they don't get bullied, where they don't get harassed, body shamed, where they feel seen, where they feel heard, where they feel like they can come to us with their problems, where they feel like they're not replaceable with a finger click, but they actually mean something to us. That is the only way that we collectively, and it is all of our responsibility, like I said before, how we are going to bring about a change in the ballet culture. Let's be the generation that demands better for ourselves and for all the young dancers coming after us. I really hope that you found this video useful. Leave a comment below, share your story, or even just say hi. And remember that you're not alone and you never were.